CyberHub bunker and studio. You're tuning in to the CyberHub Podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Good morning, security gang, and welcome back to the CyberHub Podcast. My name is James Azar. I'm the host and the Chief Information Security Officer. Thank you for tuning in. Today is a monumental episode for us. It's not 1,000. It's niner. That's it. Monday will be breaking into the 4-digit episode count here on the show, and a time of reflection and so forth. And Monday we'll have a little celebration and so much more. So, but we're here to do the news, cybersecurity news, that is, privacy news, data breach news, what's happening in the world for many cybersecurity practitioner, or if you're interested in cyber, just as a general rule of thumb. We're going to cover a lot on today's show. Really, there is no shortage of stories. In fact, there's more than usual. That's how busy of a week it's been. This is our third show this week where we typically try to get to a threshold of 8 to 9 stories. This is our third episode this week with over 10, because all of them matter. So with that being said, let's get the show kicking and going. Before we do that, we have a tradition here on the CyberHub Podcast. I grab my double espresso. You grab your favorite beverage. We cheers, and we say coffee cup cheers, and have my amazing, just espresso. I like showing you guys clear cups because you can obviously see how well this espresso is. Coffee cup cheers, y'all. So at cyberhubpodcast.com, you'll find a bunch of articles, including the one you're seeing right here on the screen in front of you. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast listening platform, you're not seeing it. It's called Backdoors by Design, China's Long Game Against America's Supply Chain. We look at the F5 breach, but so many others before that. Kind of highlight a growing trend that needs to be addressed. We give a few suggestions, although I doubt anyone is going to listen to them. But nonetheless, it's there. All right. So we're going to go to Oregon-based fencing and pet solution provider Jute Cameron. So they've been hit by a ransomware attack. Apparently, attackers stole sensitive data and have actually threatened leaks. Operations continue while the company investigates. And again, small, mid-sized manufacturing, these guys remain prime target because the outage there, as we saw with Clorox, as we saw with Jaguar Land Rover, and so many others, it cascades into retailers and distributors. It's got significant business impact where suppliers could have fulfillment delays and even chargebacks. There's targeted business email compromise using some stolen invoices. And so it does create a general sense of chaos. Now, this ransomware has not yet been claimed by a threat group as of yet. So we'll continue to monitor this story for the threat group. But if you're looking for mitigation in this case, because we don't know much, I would say, there's not much you could do outside of just really tightening down your endpoints and making sure you're patching on time. We'll move from here to a cyber attack in the state of Massachusetts, where Haywood and Athol hospitals both experienced a cyber attack. The network outage disrupted care like ambulance diversions, code black procedures. The scope of the attack is still developing. There's been some postponed cares. There's been a bunch of overtime costs because everything is kind of slowed down because of move to manual. There are likely going to be a bunch of HIPAA scrutiny for both of those hospitals and insurer reviews. And again, this goes kind of into this idea, and a code black is where a hospital no longer can take in patients, and all ambulances and all emergencies are being routed to other hospitals. So the attack itself disrupted internet access, email communications, and even phone lines. Now, radiology and laboratory operations were also affected. And again, if the network doesn't segment, I consider hospital equipment as OT or IoT. And then a lot of times in the hospital, that's not really segmented. It's all kind of sitting on that same one network. Good hospitals, mature hospitals have that segmented. That's not the case here, apparently. There's a bunch of different workarounds, but again, healthcare still remains a prime attack vector for threat actors. So keep that in mind as well as we move on. And then a myriad of cyber incidents affecting local municipalities in the great states of Texas, Tennessee, and Indiana. and it's impacting government services in all three nations. Kaufman County in Texas, with over 200,000 residents, is one of those impacted bodies. The peers are reporting incident impacting services and public portals in the county there, with significant business impact expected to reach the county. The Kaufman attack coincides with a handful of similar attacks where the city of La Vergne in Tennessee, also investigating a network incident there as well. And then DeKalb County and the library system of Chester County, DeKalb County in Pennsylvania, in Indiana, not Georgia, and the library system of Chester County in Pennsylvania, both reporting outages. And again, municipalities are short order, easy targets in most cases because they really do the bare minimum. This does delay, everything from collecting fees to providing critical services to citizens, and why this needs to be kind of addressed at a greater level, on the local level, at the state level, potentially there as well. All right. We move to the UK with an agency by Britain's Cyber and Signals Intelligence Agency, GCHQ. This is Anne Keast Butler saying the most contested threat in decades is what's facing the UK. The UK's signal chief outlining priorities: use AI to boost analyst productivity, build secure by design AI, and track adversary AI use. So you could probably expect some regulatory changes to take place in the UK, asking how your SOC and you build your systems and how you're safely adopting AI while defending against AI, amplify threats, and they'll add an AI model governance to your control set is most likely what they're talking about there. But again, this was at the cybersecurity conference Predict Europe, where Miss Keast Butler was speaking, and she says, how is it manifesting itself in cyberspace is with a significant uptick in the level of attacks that we are looking at. They've seen over 4 times as many attacks to September as they saw in the year in the year to the previous September. So 4 significant incidents a week that their teams at the National Cybersecurity Center are dealing with. The threat landscape is one of the most contested and complex that she's seen in her 30-year national security career. So again, the UK has been getting hit on the face more than Macron gets slapped by his wife. That's all kind of showing you everything going on in the UK there, and their ability to actually deal with these threats coming from Iran, China, and so many others. And speaking of Iran, let's get into MuddyWater here, targeting hundreds of organizations across the globe. The campaign combines some spear phishing, living off the land, and even long dwell persistence across the Middle East, Europe, with spillover risk to some suppliers. The business impact there is some of the credential and SharePoint theft. They're doing a lot of partner phishing and operational friction for energy and logistics. You want to enforce phishing resistance MFA. You want to block legacy authentication, and you want to hunt for any of the WMI, PSXEC, and beaconing from admin shares altogether. And again, the Iranians are experts at running this types of campaign, so you want to be mindful of it, folks. All right, before we get into our next story, a short ad from our friends over at ThreatLocker. Do zero-day exploits and supply chain attacks keep you up at night? Worry no more. You can harden your security with our friends at ThreatLocker. Imagine taking a proactive, deny-by-default approach to cybersecurity, blocking every action, process, and user unless specifically authorized by your team. ThreatLocker helps you do this and provides a full audit of every action allowed or blocked for risk management and compliance. Onboarding and operation is fully supported by their US-based support team. Stop the exploitation of trusted applications within your organization to keep you running efficiently and secure, protected from ransomware. Worldwide, companies like JetBlue trust ThreatLocker to secure their data and keep their business operations flying high. To learn more about how ThreatLocker can mitigate unknown threats and ensure compliance for your organization, visit threatlocker.com/cyberhub. That's threatlocker.com/cyberhub. Okay, thank you to our friends over at ThreatLocker for their support. Let's move to this story here. The Model Context Protocol, or MCP as you know it, is exposing over 3,000 plus AI servers and API keys. This is a bug in the popular MCP server registry known as Smithery.ai, which could have revealed secrets and let attackers harvest API keys across the tenants. This would have had a significant business impact if not being taken care of, like silent access to LLM tooling, which would have been catastrophic. Source and data integrity risks for AI-assisted workflows. Again, catastrophic. It would essentially render a lot of the stuff you do useless until you fix it. And right now, there's no real playbook to fix an MCP data poisoning type of cases. Like those playbooks aren't mature enough yet. So it would have been catastrophic. So for those that are using this registry, here's some mitigation for you guys. Rotate all your MCP keys and tokens, pin the registries by hash, and then require signed server manifest, and then log prompt and tool call telemetry are going to be really, really important to deal with these types of threats. We move to China and the Chinese. There's not a day in the week we don't talk about China here on the show. Well, ToolShell SharePoint vulnerabilities are being exploited by China-linked actors again. So this was patched in July, but threat actors still chained SharePoint to breach a telco. We talked about that yesterday on the show. Reporting notes are bypassing and broad targeting, and these collab apps are beginning to really lead to domain escalation, data staging, and even lateral movement, even in those segmented environments, simply because of the way they're able to move through those apps. So a few mitigations here. You want to patch your baseline on-prem SharePoint if you have it there. You want to check for web shells, disable legacy authentication. You want to isolate SharePoint from tier 0 and then align with the KEV deadline issued by CISA to address it. And again, if it's on-prem, why? Like, what's the reason for it there as well? We move to a high severity vulnerability in the popular Rust library, the async tar here, also known as Tarmageddon. I love when we vendors just come out and give it unbelievable names and they go, it's it's Tarmageddon. All right. So anyways, remote code execution in the Rust async tar and all right. A header parsing bug for async tar and related parsers is going to enable archive smuggling and RCE under common unpack flows. This here, folks, is CVE. Let's see where it is. There it is. CV 2025-62518. It's got a CVSS score of 8.1, sorry. And it's got both, if a file entry has both headers and a US U-star header incorrectly, it specifies a zero size and inconsistent in the parser data boundaries, determines logic results in the parser, advancing the stream position based on the UTAR size. So a kind of significant one. This has over 5 million downloads, is used in numerous projects. So some of this business impact could lead to supply chain risk for services that auto extract uploads or backups or even CI artifacts. You want to bump to fixed versions, disable automatic untar in pipelines, and add content type and size guards with quarantine scanning to make sure you're covering all your bases and you're detecting something really, really early. We continue because there's more. Are we done yet? No, we're not. We have more stuff here. OAuth persistence tokens keep access after passwords resets. That's a big one. Fresh reporting is showing the threat actors are creating or abusing OAuth apps to maintain cloud access to like Salesforce or SaaS. Incidents this year are showing the blast radius of these types of attacks. So what they're essentially doing is, even if you're changing the password, they're keeping the OAuth token, because a lot of times when people change passwords, you get the request of, do you want to sign out all other devices or just keep them running and then next time sign in? And most people choose the first rather than doing the right thing, which is sign everyone out and then make them log back in. So when you don't do that, the threat actors play around with the OAuth tokens, and then they continue to create persistence. And you can obviously see here how they do this. This is coming from Proofpoint. So again, there's a lot of technical implementation to this. The automation then collects multiple OAuth token types, including access tokens, refresh tokens, and even ID tokens. And then they use those in maintaining persistent access. So something to keep in mind there. So this has some real impact, especially around your keys. If you want to mitigate these, you should enumerate and ban unapproved OAuth apps, rotate OAuth secrets, and restrict scopes, alert on high-risk grants, and treat password resets as insufficient without token revocation. As one way to do it. Now, I know that's not business friendly, but it reduces the risk significantly. And so the friction there is momentarily at best. So the Viter Stealer 2.0 is back with a major rewrite. It's improving speed and antivirus analysis. It's memory injection upgrades and even Steal browser credentials and crypto wallet. So it's really been rewritten, redeveloped. It's coming in strong. It could have significant impact on developer and finance endpoints at higher risk business email compromise type of organizations. You could be looking at code signing key theft. You want to restrict unsigned browser extensions, watch for suspicious deep happy and credential vault access, and filter executables from social and referral links. All of those come into play for Viter 2.0, which is making a significant comeback here as well. The Magento SessionReaper is now under active exploitation. Sansex saying hundreds of attempts abusing CVE 2025-54236 to hijack sessions via web API. So this could lead to account takeover, card skimming, and even order fraud. You want to apply Adobe's September patch to take care of this. You should enable WAF rules on risky API routes and then rotate admin tokens, require step-up authentication on checkout and by admins. Again, this impacts versions 2.4.9-alpha 2, although and 2.4.8 -P2, and you see these on the screen. We'll have them available at cyberhubpodcast.com. Sensec blocked more than 250 SessionReaper exploitation attempts targeting multiple stores. Most of the attacks originated from these 5 IP addresses, which we'll have available on our website at cyberhubpodcast.com here after the show. And our final story this morning, as we wrap up the final episode in 3 digits, the Phantom CAPTCHA ClickFix Spear phishing is hitting Ukraine war relief organizations. The one-day campaign targeted regional government staff and NGOs, including UNICEF and the International Red Cross, with verification pages that delivered malware via social and app flows. They were pretending to be the president of Ukraine or emails impersonating Ukrainian's president's office. They carried a malicious PDF attachment that linked to a domain impersonating the Zoom conference communication platform. When clicking on the fake Zoom link, visitors saw an automated browser check process before redirecting to the communication platform. Then a client identifier is generated and passed to the attacker's server over a WebSocket connection. Sentinel Labs doing some analysis here showing that if the WebSocket server responded with a matching identifier, the victim browser would redirect to a legitimate password-protected Zoom meeting. That path likely led to the threat actor engaging in live social engineering calls with the victims at that time. So no shortage of creativity on the Russian-Ukrainian war front lines. That's for sure. All right, that's it for our show this morning and this Thursday. Tomorrow, we'll have our weekly summary available for all of y'all to enjoy and consume. That's available exclusively at cyberhubpodcast.com and the LinkedIn page for CyberHub Podcast. You can go to LinkedIn, search CyberHub Podcast. You'll see it there. On Saturday, we'll have a brand new article for some of our paid members. And Sunday, our last week's paid article, the F5 China supply chain, will be absolutely free for all of y'all to read. If you want to support the show, you can do that there. Monday morning, episode 1000 for the podcast. A very, very exciting day for me personally. I'm excited to share it with all of y'all because without every single one of you who tunes in, who watches, none of this would be possible. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day, folks. And most importantly, stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.